Fleet Admiral John Hayes stood at the observation deck of Earth's orbital command station. The stars looked peaceful, betraying nothing of the battle that had taken place near Jupiter. 6 months ago, he rubbed his tired eyes. Sleep had been rare since the first alien ships appeared in the solar system. The door slid open behind him. "Admiral, the U.S. Defiant is approaching," said Lieutenant Catherine Wells. Hayes nodded. On screen, the wall display flickered to life. The Defiant emerged from its faster-than-light travel, battle scars visible along its hull. What once had been humanity's pride, a sleek exploration vessel reproved for war, now looked like a wounded animal. But it had survived, and more importantly, it had won. There, requesting permission to dock, said Wells. Granted. Hayes turned away from the view and tell Captain Richard Barnes I want a full report in 1 hour. As Hayes walked through the station corridors, personnel snapped to attention. They looked different now, he thought. Before the Jupiter incident, there had been curiosity in their eyes. Now there was only determination. Command center buzzed with activity. Screens displayed the solar system with red markers indicating the last known positions of Galactic Council. Observation post, status report. Hayes ordered as he took his seat. Commander Frank Wilson approached with a tablet. The Defiant recovered significant alien technology during the skirmish. Early analysis suggests their weapons are more advanced than ours, but not as much as they wanted us to believe. Hayes allowed himself a small smile. The Council had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt, a costly mistake on their part. Sir, called out communications officer Ly Adams, we're receiving a transmission. It's from the Council. The room fell silent. Put it through, Hayes said. The main screen changed to show an alien with pale blue skin and 4 eyes, arranged in a diamond pattern. Ambassador Toral, people of Earth, the alien began, its voice translated by computers. The recent unprovoked attack on Council peacekeeping forces has been deemed a serious violation of galactic law. The Grand Council has reviewed your actions and reached an anonymous decision. The alien paused, all 4 eyes blinking slowly. This is your final warning. Further defiance will not be tolerated. The transmission ended. Hayes looked around the room at the grim faces of his officers. Get me the president. 2 hours later, Hayes sat at the large conference table in the United Earth Defense Council chamber. President Laura Chen entered, followed by representatives from the major nations. Ladies and gentlemen, Chen began, we face an unprecedented situation. The Galactic Council has issued what they call a final warning following our defense of Jupiter's orbit. Defense Minister George Rodriguez spoke up. Let's be clear about what happened. They entered our solar system without permission, established military positions, and fired when our ships approached. We defended ourselves. The Council sees it differently, said Dr. Sofia Rivera, head of Tenno Diplomacy. In their view, they own this region of space and were simply setting up observation posts in their territory. Our ships were the intruders. Hayes leaned forward. The recovered data from the Defiant tells us more about the Council than they wanted us to know. They've done this before to at least 7 other species. They make contact, claim ownership, demand compliance, and then he paused. Then those species disappear from their records. Silence fell over the room. Lieutenant Wells has been analyzing their communication patterns. Hayes continued. Lieutenant Catherine Wells stood. The phrase "final warning" appears in their historical records shortly before they launched full military operations against the Zenturi and the Naphoth civilizations. Neither exists today. President Chen's expression hardened. So this isn't just about territory, it's about our survival. Yes, Madame President, Hayes replied, and we need to prepare accordingly. Chen looked around the table. Then, as of this moment, I'm authorizing Operation Silent Shield. God help us all. Outside the window, Earth turned slowly beautiful and blue, unaware that its time as an isolated world was coming to an end. The Grand Hall of the United Nations fell silent as the holographic image of Ambassador Sexerol flickered into existence. The alien stood nearly 8 ft tall, its 4 arms held in what humans had learned was a gesture of authority. People of Earth, how began voice echoing through the hall. The Grand Council has deliberated on your species' place in the galactic community. Your actions near Jupiter have proven you are not yet ready for unrestricted participation. President Laura Chen sat straight-backed in the center seat, her face betraying nothing. Beside her, Admiral Hayes gripped his armrest tightly. The terms are non-negotiable. Continued Exorthal, Earth will dismantle 80% of its military fleet within 30 days. All weapons research will cease immediately. Council observers will establish permanent monitoring stations throughout your solar system. Murmurs rippled through the assembled world. Leaders' refusal to comply will result in containment protocols. Your system will be isolated by a quantum barrier. No ships in, no ships out for as long as the Council deems necessary. All 4 of eyes blinked slowly. You have 7 Earth days to begin compliance. The hologram vanished. President Chen stood. Thank you all for coming. We will reconvene in 3 hours to discuss our response. As the room emptied, she motioned for Hayes to follow her to a secure room below the building. Dr. Allen Morris waited for them there, his white hair disheveled as always. You heard? Chen asked. Morris nodded, every word. And I found something you need to see. He activated a screen on the wall. This is from the alien database recovered from the Jupiter battle. The screen displayed alien text with translation. Below, species 7291, the RIFX status contained. Morris swiped to another entry, species 6820. The Zenturi status extinct following containment failure. He showed 3 more examples. What am I looking at? Dr. Chen asked, though her voice suggested she already knew. Every species that received the final warning, followed by containment, is now either enslaved or extinct. Morris said the Council doesn't isolate species to protect the galaxy from them. They do it to quietly eliminate rivals. Hayes stepped forward. How long does containment typically last? Between 8 and 15 years, Morris replied. Just long enough for a species to deplete critical resources or devolve into civil war. Then the Council swoops in to restore order by taking full control. Chen's face hardened. So our choices are immediate surrender or slow death. There's one more thing, Morris added. Quantum barrier technology they use for containment. It's powerful, but it has weaknesses. I've identified fluctuations in its energy signature. With more research, we might find a way through it. Chen nodded. How soon can you get to Luna Base to continue this work? I can. Leave tonight, Morris said. Do it, Chen. Turned to Hayes. Admiral, is operation Silent Shield ready? Yes, Madame. President, we've been preparing since the first contact. The public F-facing fleet is ready for apparent dismantling. The Shadow Fleet is nearly complete. Chen walked to the window, looking out at the Washington Monument in the distance. Then it's time. Give the order to begin visible compliance. Dismantle the old satellites. Parade our ships back to dry dock. Make it convincing in the Shadow Fleet, Hayes asked. Accelerate production. I want it ready in 6 months, not 12. Morris cleared his throat. The Council will be watching closely. Their technology can detect our normal operations throughout the system. Chen turned back to face them, her expression cold. Then we and LT Unc and GT LL have to be smarter than they are. Admiral Hayes. Implement protocol Dark Winter for all sensitive communications and operations. That would mean taking our most critical systems completely offline, Hayes said. We'd be operating blind, not blind, Chen replied. Just off their radar. We and LT Unc and GT LL use the old methods, hardlines, physical messengers, nothing they can intercept. Hayes nodded, understanding now. Let's and LT Unc and GT be clear, Chen said to both men. As of this moment, Earth is at war, whether the Council realizes it or not. Outside, the sun began to set on Washington, D.C., perhaps the last peaceful sunset humanity would know for a very long time. Admiral William Frost watched from the command deck as the U.S. Liberty, once Earth's most advanced battleship, was slowly pulled apart in space. Machinery removed, weapon systems, while crews in spacesuits detached armor plating. The ship looked wounded, defeated, transmitting feed to Council observation post, said Lieutenant Jack Miller. They're watching. Good, Frost said. Make sure they see everything on screens around the command center. Similar scenes played out across Earth. Orbit satellites turned dark, defense platforms went offline. It was a convincing show of surrender. Frost's private communicator buzz. No digital signal, just an old-fashioned vibration. Pattern 3 short, 2 long. The signal to check the secure drop point. Lieutenant, you have command. I'll be back shortly. In his office, Frost locked the door and pulled a small metal box from beneath a loose floor panel. Inside was a handwritten note. Phase 2 activated. Belters moving are Frost burned the note and flushed the ashes. Commander Olivia Ray had succeeded. The real work had begun. 200 million miles away, deep in the asteroid belt, Rise floated in the command center of what appeared to be an abandoned mining facility. Around her, technicians worked in silence, their communications limited to hand signals and handwritten notes. Status report, she whispered to her second in command, Lieutenant B. Foster. Foster handed her a tablet showing only local information. Nothing transmitted. Shipyard 1 is at 80% capacity. Shipyards 2 and 3 are fully operational. First wave of vessels will be complete in 20 days. Ray's nodded. And the crew's training in the inner caverns. No surface activity. The abandoned asteroid was hollow, convert years ago into a secret facility as part of Earth's contingency plans. What had once seemed paranoid now looked like foresight. The hybrid drives, rides asked. Dr. Morris sent the final designs before communications blackout. They're being installed now. Ray allowed herself A small smile, the alien technology, captured from the Jupiter battle, had proven invaluable. Earth scientists hadn't just copied it, they had improved it. Foster lowered his voice further. What about the pilots? Are they ready? Ray's face grew serious. Asked Captain Jones. In a large cavern a mile deeper into the asteroid, 30 men and women sat inside simulation pods. Their bodies were still, but their minds flew through virtual space, engaged in combat maneuvers. Captain Sandal Jones watched their progress on a bank of screen. The simulations use real data from the Jupiter battle, teaching human pilots how Council ships moved and fought. Run it again, Jones told his training officer. Scenario 17. The pilots' vital signs spiked as they faced the challenge again. Jones had driven them hard for weeks, but time was short. They needed to master ships that hadn't even been completed yet. His assistant approached with a handwritten note. Gravity shield prototype successful. Morris Jones crumpled the paper. One more advantage. Back on Earth, Dr. Allen. Morris hunched over a workbench in the underground labs of Lunabase. The device before him was small, no larger than a shoe box, but it represented humanity's greatest achievement since faster than light travel. The prototype gravity distortion shield created a field that bent light and other forms of energy around it. Anything inside became effectively invisible to most detection methods. Morris carefully placed the device inside a lead-line case. Tomorrow, it would be transported to the asteroid belt via the old mining routes paths the Council didn't know existed. As he sealed the case, Morris thought about the Zenturi, the Rithak, and the other species that had faced the Council's containment and lost. Not us, he whispered, not Earth. Above him on the lunar surface, Council observers monitored a human base that appeared to be powering down non-essential systems. In compliance with their demands, they saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see. Nothing more. The Council inspection ship entered Earth orbit with a flash of blue light, sleek and silver. It dwarfed the human vessels that remained after the apparent disarmament. From the United Earth Defense Headquarters, President Chen and Admiral Hayes watched the live feed. There. Early, Hayes said the inspection wasn't scheduled for another 3 days. Chen's expression remained neutral. There. Testing us, seeing if we scramble. The ship's landing coordinates came through the Washington International Spaceport. Chen nodded to Hayes. You know what to do at the spaceport, Lieutenant Gregory. Martinez adjusted his dress uniform and waited at the designated landing pad. Behind him stood a small honor guard, all carefully selected for this mission. The Council ship touched down with barely a sound. Its main door slid open, revealing Senior Inspector Zivar. The alien stood 7 ft tall with gray skin and 3 pairs of eyes arranged vertically. Behind him came 6 junior inspectors, each carrying what looked like scientific equipment. Welcome to Earth, Martin said, bowing slightly. I am Lieutenant Martinez, your liaison. During your stay, Zivar's top pair of eyes focused on Martin's while the others scanned the surroundings. Your greeting is noted. We will begin inspection immediately. Our instruments detect energy signatures that exceed permitted levels, Martinez maintained his practiced smile. The small device in his collar was already working, subtly altering the readings of the aliens. Equipment, of course, Inspector, we have prepared a complete tour of our Facilities, where would you like to begin? 3 days later, Zivar's team had inspected military bases across Earth, finding each one partly dismantled as required. The aliens seemed particularly interested in the empty hangars where Earth's space fleet had once been housed. These facilities could be reactivated quickly, Zivar noted during the inspection of Vandenberg base. They could, Martins agreed, but that would violate our agreement. We've committed to peace. Zivar's middle pair of eyes narrowed. Peace is maintained through verification, Lieutenant. Tomorrow we inspect your lunar facilities. That night in a secure room below the Pentagon, Martinez met with Admiral Hayes. They're suspicious, Sir Martins reported, especially about Luna Base. The counter-surveillance tech is working, but Zivar keeps focusing on energy readings from Mars. Hayes frowned. Mars? We have nothing on Mars except the old research station. Exactly, sir. It's almost as if he's trying to distract us from something else. Martinez handed Hayes a small device. I planted this on one of their junior inspectors. It's been recording their private conversations. Hayes activated the device. The alien language filled the room, followed by a computer translation. The humans are hiding something. Energy patterns suggest activity in the asteroid belt. Impossible. Our surveillance shows nothing there. Then our surveillance is being fooled. Inform the council. The containment timetable must be accelerated. Hayes shut off the device. They're on to us. Martinez nodded. Not fully, but they suspect. What do we do? Hayes activated a secure line to Luna Base. Get me Commander Reyes on the far side of the moon. Olivia Rise received the message while overseeing the final preparations of the stealth fleet. The original timeline had given them another month. Now they had days at most. We're an LT Unk and GT at 80% readiness, she told Hayes. The gravity shields work, but we haven't fully tested the weapon systems. It will have to be enough. Hayes replied. Move everything deeper into the belt. And Ray, if they find you know the protocols. Yes, sir. No captives, no intact technology. As she ended the transmission, Rise turned to her officers. Acceleration protocols. All ships to final assembly. Full blackout from this moment forward. The next morning, as Zivkar's team prepared to depart for Luna Base, their ship received an urgent message from the Council. New energy readings had been detected from Mars. Change of plans. Zivar announced. We inspect Mars first. Martinez kept his face carefully neutral. As you wish, Inspector. I'll make the arrangements. As the alien turned away, Martinez touched the hidden communicator in his sleeve. One quick pulse, the signal that the divergent had worked. Now they had just a little more time. Security Chief Diane Powell stared at the data on her screen for the third time. The pattern was unmistakable. Someone had accessed classified information about Earth's defense systems and transmitted it off-world. The breach had gone undetected for months. I need to see the president, she told her assistant. An hour later, Powell sat across from President Chen and Admiral Hayes in the White House's secure room. We have a spy, Powell said, sliding a tablet across the table. These are access logs from our defense network. Someone has been downloading information about our remaining military capabilities. Hayes studied the logs. These are high-level clearance. The spy must be someone on the council, not just on the council, Powell replied. Based on the access patterns, I believe it's Council Member Peter Harrison. Chen's face showed no surprise. Harrison, he's been pushing hardest for full compliance with the council demands because he's working for them, Powell said. The transmissions matched times when council ships were in range. Hayes leaned forward. We need to arrest him immediately. No, Chen said firmly. If we arrest him, the council will know we've discovered their spy. She turned to Powell. Can we track what he's accessing without alerting him? Already done, Powell replied. We can see everything he sees. Then we use him, Chen said. Feed him information we want the council to have. The next day, Harrison attended the Defense Council meeting as usual. Special coding in his security badge now tracked his every move. When he accessed a terminal to check defense readiness reports, the system showed him carefully altered information suggesting Earth was falling into disarray over the disarmament that night. From his apartment in New York, Harrison transmitted his report to a council ship hiding behind the moon. Powell's team intercepted and read every word. It's working, she told Chen by secure line. He's reporting exactly what we want him to. At Luna Base, Dr. Alan Morris worked frantically in his lab. For days he had been analyzing the alien technology recovered from the Jupiter battle. Something about their communication systems had been bothering him. Run the frequency analysis again, he told his assistant. The results appeared on his screen. Morris stared at them, then suddenly smiled. That's it, that's their weakness. He called for an immediate meeting with the base commander. The council's ships use a quantum resonance field for their shields and communications. It's incredibly advanced, but it has a critical flaw. If we hit it with precisely calibrated pulses, we can create a cascade failure. In simple terms, Doctor, we can shut down their entire fleet with one well-placed shot. The commander immediately sent messenger to Earth. This information was too important to risk electronic transmission. Meanwhile, Admiral Frost and President Chen met in the Oval Office to finalize Operation Breakout. Holographic map of the solar system floated between them. The stealth fleet is ready, Frost reported. Commander Rise has positioned ships here, and here. He pointed to locations throughout the asteroid belt. Captain Jones has his fighter squadrons hidden in the moons of Cedron. Chen studied the map in the council. Their main fleet remains beyond Neptune's orbit. Inspection teams are scattered throughout the inner system. The Mars Divergent worked. They found nothing but the old research station, and Harrison still feeding them what we want. According to Powell, they believe we're weeks away from civil unrest over food shortages. Chen nodded. Then it's time to set the coordinates for Operation Breakout. She reached into the hologram and marked a point near Jupiter. We'll draw them here away from Earth. It's risky, Frost warned. If they realize it's a trap too soon, then we'll need Dr. Morris's discovery to work, Chen said. Speaking of which, has his messenger arrived? Due within the hour. Chen walked to the window and looked at the night sky. The council thinks we're divided and weakening. That's exactly what we needed them to think. What the council didn't know was that humanity had never been more united or determined. The final moves in this deadly game were about to begin. Galactic Council's patience ran out on a Tuesday morning. Admiral Hayes was woken By an emergency alert, he rushed to the command center where officers worked at their stations with grim faces. Report. He ordered, Sir, long-range sensors. Detect a council fleet approaching. 57. Ships, they're moving fast. Hayes studied the tactical display. Classification, mostly warships. Stir. This isn't an inspection force, it's an invasion fleet. Hayes contacted President Chen immediately. Within an hour, Earth's remaining leaders gathered in the underground command bunker. Beneath Washington, the council has decided we're taking too long to comply. Hayes explained, their spy Harrison has been feeding them reports that Earth is becoming unstable. They likely see this as the perfect time to strike. Exactly as we planned, Chen said. She turned to the communications officer. Send the signal. Operation Breakup begins now. Across the solar system, hidden human forces received the coded message. In the asteroid belt, Commander Rice stood on the bridge of the EDF Defiance, the flagship of humanity's secret fleet. Signal confirmed. Her communications officer reported, Operation Breakout is a go. Reyes addressed her crew. This is the moment we've trained for. Council thinks they're coming to find a broken, disarmed Earth. Instead, they'll meet the full force of humanity's resolve. She turned to her tactical officer. Bring all ships to full combat readiness, but maintain stealth protocols until my command. Near Saturn, Captain Samuel Jones received the same signal. His fighters were hidden the rings, powered down to avoid detection. Pilots to your ships, he ordered. Silent launch. Maintain a mission control until target point Alpha. The council fleet moved with confidence toward Earth. At their current speed, they would arrive in less than 10 hours. Their commander, Admiral Voxel, had led 3 previous pacification missions. All had been successful. Status of the human defenses. Voxel asked his second in command, Minimal Admiral. Their orbital platforms are disabled. Ground-based weapons are insufficient to threaten our ships. Our agent reports their remaining fleet is docked and partially dismantled. Voxel made a gesture of satisfaction. The Grand Council was wise to act now. These humans seemed compliant, but their history shows they are deceptive. Better to secure their world before they can rebuild. Should we offer surrender terms? No, we will establish control first. Negotiations can come later. From a position of strength, the council fleet crossed the orbit of Mars. Earth grew larger on their screens. No resistance appeared. No messages came from the human governments. As expected, Voxel said, their leaders are likely hiding. Prepare landing forces for the capital cities. As the council fleet approached lunar orbit, Lieutenant Gregory Martinez attend one final report from Earth. Council forces in position. No sign they suspect anything. In the hidden base on the far side of the moon, Dr. Morris activated the gravity distortion shield. A massive field of energy spread outward, bending light and other signals around the lunar surface. Shield active. He reported to Admiral Hayes, they can't detect our forces now. Hayes gave the order that would change humanity's future forever. All units execute. Operation Breakout. Weapons free. Captain Jones was the first to strike. His fighter squadrons powered up in burst from Saturn's rings, accelerating to attack speed. They would arrive behind the council fleet, cutting off retreat. Commander Rise issued orders to Her hidden fleet, all ships disengage. Stealth systems, attack formation Delta. Throughout the asteroid belt, humanity's secret armada revealed itself, ships. Powered-up weapons systems based on the aliens' own technology, but improved by human ingenuity. On the Council, flagship alarms suddenly blared. Admiral, multiple contacts appearing all around us. Voxel rushed to the command center. The tactical display showed human ships emerging from hiding places throughout the solar system. For the first time in his career, the alien Admiral felt something very close to human fear. Space around Earth erupted in light as the largest battle in human history began. The Council ships, caught by surprise, scrambled to form defensive positions. Full power to forward shields, Admiral Voxel ordered as the first wave of human fighters approached. Launch all interceptors. The Council ships released hundreds of small fighter craft. They moved with incredible speed. But the human pilots were ready. Captain Jones had trained them using data from the Jupiter skirmish. Remember your training, Jones told his pilots over the pattern Omega hit and fade. The human fighters broke into small groups, each targeting a different Council ship. They fired strange weapons, missiles, that didn't explode on impact but instead attached to the hull and pulsed with energy. On the Council flagship, systems began failing. Admiral, something is disrupting our shield. Harmonics reported the tactical officer. Impossible, Voxel said. Human weapons cannot penetrate our ship. Shuddered as more missiles struck. Lights flickered. Communications with other Council vessels became garbled. From the asteroid belt, Commander Rice led 3 battle groups toward Earth. Her flagship, the Defiance, was the most powerful warship humans had ever built. It combined Earth technology with reversed engineered alien systems. Target the enemy command ship, she ordered. All vessels concentrate fire on designated targets. Use Morris protocol. Beams of energy lanced out from the human fleet, precisely calibrated to exploit the weakness Dr. Morris had discovered. When they struck, the Council ships' cascade failures rippled through the alien vessels. At Luna Base, Dr. Morris activated the gravity distortion shield around Earth. To the Council sensors, it appeared as if Earth itself had vanished, replaced by a strange distortion in space. Shield at full power, Morris reported to Admiral Hayes. Earth is now invisible to their targeting systems. In the command bunker, President Chen and Admiral Hayes watched the battle unfold on tactical displays. The human fleets were outnumbered, but they had surprise and strategy on their side. Third Fleet is taking heavy losses near Mars, an officer reported. Hayes nodded grimly. Tell Admiral Frost to hold position. They need to keep the Council reinforcements from reaching the main battle near Mars. Admiral Frost's ships engaged a Council relief force. His vessels were older models, not equipped with the newest technology, but they fought with determination. We can't hold much longer, Frost told his crew as another ship in his fleet exploded, but we only need to delay them every minute we give. Reyes and Jones is another minute for Earth. The Council commander Voxel struggled to understand what was happening. The humans had hidden an entire fleet. They had weapons that shouldn't exist, and now Earth itself had disappeared from their sensors. Send the code for reinforcements, he ordered. All ships fall back to defensive formation, but the signal never went out. The human missiles had disabled their long range communications. Captain Jones led his fighters in another attack run. Target their engines, he ordered. Let's make sure they can't run. Missiles struck the Council flagship's propulsion systems. The massive ship began to drift. Commander Ray saw her opportunity. All ships focus fire on the flagship. Let's show them what humanity can do. The Defiance and its battle group unleashed everything they had on Vox Skull ship. The alien vessel's shields failed completely. Then its hull began to crack. Abandon ship. Vox Skull ordered all crew to escape pods. Throughout the solar system, the tide of battle turned. Council ships cut off from each other and unable to coordinate found themselves surrounded by human vessels that seemed to know exactly where to strike. From the command bunker, President Chen watched as the Council fleet began to break apart. Some ships attempted to flee, others fought on desperately. Send the message, she told Hayes, to all Council vessels. Now Hayes nodded to the communications officer. Across every frequency the Council ships could receive, in their own language, came humanity's response to their final warning: you should have left us alone. 3 days after the battle, the remains of the Council fleet gathered at the edge of the solar system. Of the 57 ships that had entered, only 22 remained operational. Admiral Vox Skull had survived the destruction of his flagship and now commanded from a smaller vessel. We must return to Council space, urged his second-in-command. Request reinforcements. Vox Skull stared at the tactical display showing the human forces now patrolling their system. The humans knew we were coming. They were prepared. How is this possible? Unknown, Admiral, but we cannot win this battle with our current forces. As the Council ships prepared to depart, their sensors detected an approaching vessel, a single human ship broadcasting on all frequencies. They wished to communicate. The communications officer reported. Show me, Vox Skull ordered. Admiral John Hayes appeared on the screen. This is Admiral Hayes of Earth. I am authorized to speak on behalf of humanity. Vox Skull's 3 hearts beat rapidly, but he maintained his composure. Speak, human. The Galactic Council issued what you called a final warning. You have received our answer. Now we will issue terms of our own. On Earth, President Chen stood in the newly repaired United Nations chamber. Representatives from every nation watched as she addressed not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Today we send our message to the Galactic Council, she began. Earth demands recognition as a sovereign system. No Council forces will enter our space without explicit permission. No Council observers will be stationed on our worlds. We will engage in trade and diplomacy as equals, not as subjects. The broadcast went out on frequencies that would reach every Council world. Along with it went the data packages that Admiral Hayes had prepared. We have collected extensive evidence of the Council's actions against other species. Hayes told Vox, the Zenter, the Rifak, 7 other civilizations that refused to surrender their sovereignty, all eliminated after being placed under your containment protocols. Vox Skull's outer eyes widened in shock. How did you obtain this information? You underestimated us from the beginning. Hayes replied, this data is being transmitted to every space-faring civilization in the galaxy. The Council's methods will be hidden no longer in the Council's grand chamber. On their home world, the news of the fleet's defeat caused an uproar. High Councilor Vexmore called for immediate military action. We must crush these humans before others follow their example. But Delegate Cryle, leader of a moderate faction, raised his voice in opposition. The humans defeated our best fleet. They discovered our methods of containment. Perhaps it is time to consider a different approach. As the debate raged, more reports came in. Other species were questioning Council authority. The data from Earth had spread faster than they could contain it. Back on Earth, Admiral Hayes and President Chen looked at a holographic map of nearby star systems. The Council is divided, Hayes explained. Our intelligence suggests that Kryle's faction is gaining support. They're arguing for recognition of our sovereignty, and if the hardliners win, Chen asked them, will be ready. Hayes expanded the hologram to show the shipyards now operating openly throughout the solar system. Dr. Morris has made further breakthroughs with the alien technology. Commander Rice reports that production of our new fleet is ahead of schedule. Chen smiled. We never wanted war. We only wanted to be left alone. But if they force our hand again, we'll be even stronger next time. Hayes finished. In his laboratory, Dr. Morris studied the star map with particular interest. With the new drive systems, we could reach these systems within months, not years. Are you suggesting expansion? Asked a colleague. Morris shook his head. Not conquest. Exploration, perhaps even finding allies. There must be other species who resisted the Council. The gravity distortion shield around Earth was deactivated once again. Humanity's home world shone blue and beautiful in the darkness of space, but it was no longer alone and vulnerable. The galaxy now knew humans would not bow to threats. They would not surrender their freedom. And they were just getting started.